Talk about amateur hour for the refs tonight, but our Pistons found a way to still get the win. Hey, Pistons fans, welcome back to another episode of Pistons Daily, your go-to podcast for daily Detroit Pistons content, game recaps, Coach T's keys, and real conversations about what's working and what's not with your Detroit Pistons. I'm your host, Tony Nash, a.k.a. Coach T, and if you love the Pistons, you've come to the right place. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not listening there right now, head on over, subscribe, hit that notification bell, let all your friends know, share this on all your Facebook groups, and let's continue to make this your favorite Pistons podcast, and we appreciate all of the support. So we got a lot to get into tonight. The Pistons end up pulling off a really tough win against, honestly, a really tough team. I gave up my tickets to the game tonight, and honestly, I'm quite relieved that I did. It was just a sloppy, messy game. It was amateur hour with the officials. We're going to talk all about that here in a minute. And the Pistons just gutted out an ugly, not even just an ugly, just a tough win. You know, a lot of times there's nights when things just aren't going your way, but good teams find a way to get it done. And that's really what we did tonight. You know, I haven't watched a lot of Phoenix this year, and one of the things I realized is Phoenix plays tough defense, man. They are and I kind of got that on the scouting report coming in, and, you know, I saw their defensive stats, but I was really surprised at how good their defense was, especially with Booker out. But their defense was phenomenal. Of course, they have two of the biggest villains in the NBA in Dillon Brooks and in Grayson Allen. But both of those guys play extremely hard. Those are the kind of guys that if they're not on your team, you just hate those guys. But if they're on your team, you probably love them. Like a Bill Laimbeer, like a Rick Mahorn, like a Rasheed Wallace, Dennis Rodman, these types of guys. We loved them as Pistons, but the league hated them. And, you know, why can't I say his name? Dillon Brooks. He's just a dirty player, but he's an antagonist. You watch interviews of Bill Laimbeer talking about how he knew if he got in someone else's head and got them thrown out of the game, that was a fair trade. And I know that's what Dillon Brooks tries to do. Of course, seeing him foul out against Cade was great. It was wonderful. I really don't like that guy at all. Grayson Allen, to me, is just a dirty player. Has taken guys out. He does play hard. He does play physical. But sometimes just has had some dirty plays, really trying to hurt guys, and I'm not about that at all. But those guys both played really hard tonight. As I said earlier, the reffing was absolutely atrocious, which we're going to talk about. But I kind of want to review what I gave in yesterday's episode with my Coach T's Keys segment on what we would need to do to win this game and see how we did. Again, squeaked a win out, but first I said we got to protect the ball and control the tempo. And we had 17 turnovers, so I wouldn't say we exactly protected the ball. Phoenix took 87 shots, and we took 81. So I think they got us playing a lot faster than we wanted to play at times. There were times where our defense was picking up, and we wanted to rush the ball. But I think Phoenix kept us out of the flow. Obviously, Cade didn't have a great night. And so we didn't really do those two things, which is one of the reasons why I think we were struggling so hard. The second thing was that we had to win the rebounding battle. We did do that. We won the rebounding battle 54-41. JD, it was good to have him back on Slam Night. My sons went down there. They got the T-shirt. And my other son got the Ben Wallace Slam T-shirt too, which that was really cool. But he had 18 rebounds tonight. So it was great having JD back on the floor. And he's just a man down there. Some of the shots he made just gets bounced around, but somehow finds a way to get to the rim. Just playing like a man. And then the third thing was I said we had to run Phoenix off the three-point line, and they shot 46 three-pointers tonight. They were 17 for 46, so they ended up shooting almost 38%, I think, almost 40%. Grayson Allen took 23s by himself. It seemed like he couldn't miss at one point. He started out slow, and then he hit a bunch, and then he kind of cooled off there towards the end. But he was 7 for 20, 33 points for Grayson Allen. His career high is 42. So he had one of the best games I've ever seen him play tonight offensively. And there were a few times where he just there was good defense on him, but he just played better offense. But again, not a fan of that guy. Gillespie had 4 threes, 4 for 6 with 18 points. Dylan Brooks had 16 points. He hit a couple threes. And then the fourth thing was Cade has to be Cade. And he was not tonight. Cade was not. It wasn't his best. I think honestly, offensively, it was probably his worst game of the season. He was 3 for 16 from the floor. He was 0 for 11 from 3. I don't know. He doesn't normally shoot 11 threes. And even that 3 he took at the end there when we were, up 4 or 5. And I'm just like, what's going on here? It just wasn't his good. I know he was trying to make something happen. And at the end, you got to run with Cade, right? He's the clutch player of the year. He's I think he's the second highest fourth quarter scorer. Even though he's having an off night, you gotta run with him, right? And he just couldn't pull it together. Of course, I don't know if you noticed, but his whole hand was wrapped up from that wrist contusion. So I do think that had an impact on his play tonight for sure. He was off 0 for 11 from 3, ended up with 10 points. I think he was 4 for 9 from the free throw line. Missed 3 really big free throws down the stretch. He had 5 turnovers. So Cade was not Cade. And again, I think that's another reason why we didn't win the game, why we weren't doing well in the game. And then Cade, even though he played bad, he still had 38 minutes. And so for us to pull off the win with him playing like he did and him having 38 minutes, I saw that JB was really trying to get something going with him, but it just wasn't happening. And we still pulled off the win. And of course, I would ride with Cade all day, every day. He has proven himself over and over to me. So no questions on that. And then I said the others had to step up. We needed a few bench guys to have a good game, and we outscored their bench 42-22. And Ivy had, I think, his best game of the season. That New York game was really good. He was I want to first talk about, he only played 5 minutes in the first half, and he came in at the exact same time as LeVert. He came in the first quarter, went out in the first quarter, 5 minutes after he got in. He scored 8 points in that 5 minutes on 3 of 4 shooting. Was playing great defense, pulled him out, and LeVert stayed in the game for a long time. I think he ended up playing like 11 minutes straight, or maybe it was 10. And then Dennis Jenkins finally came in, and he gave us a spark. And so, in my opinion, in no world should Karis LeVert be playing as the backup point guard or as when we have Dennis Jenkins. I'm sorry, Karis LeVert has a longer history and blah, blah, blah. But what Dennis Jenkins has done on his time on the court this year versus what Karis LeVert has done on his time on the court this year, he should not be in the game when Dennis Jenkins is available and ready to go. That's my opinion. And I know some of you aren't going to like that. That's tough. That's my opinion. Prove me wrong. Show me statistics that could show why Karis LeVert deserves to be on the court over Dennis Jenkins as the backup point guard. If they want to split minutes with him and Ivy, you've heard my opinions about Ivy. I really am a big Ivy fan, but he hasn't consistently proven that he's doing a lot. And the same thing with LeVert. I don't see how he really, really helps us that much. And he definitely disrupts the flow and slows down the ball movement. And when Dennis Jenkins come in, he's a floor general. He's the only other guy besides Cade, in my opinion, that can run the team and keep the offense moving. And we really desperately needed that tonight. So in my opinion, I would have ran with Dennis. Dennis only had 6 minutes. And the 6 minutes he had were great minutes. He only had 3 points, but he was 1 for 1. And in that short time, he had 3 assists. I mean, so, to me, I think Dennis is a legit player in this league. He fits well with this squad. He's got all the confidence in the world. He doesn't make a lot of stupid mistakes. He doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. He needs to be playing over Karis LeVert. I mean, let me know in the comments if you agree with me on that. And if you think that Karis LeVert deserves more time, substantially more time, tell me why. Convince me why in the comments why that should happen. But I just think the only thing I can do to rationalize, I think JB really just has something for that guy. I think he just loves Karis LeVert for some reason. And when we were struggling, he's still riding with LeVert. And I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And Sasser didn't see the floor. We could have used some outside shooting. So I understand we got a million guys to try to rotate, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying Ivy plays 5 minutes, you pull him. LeVert plays all these minutes. We're struggling. There's no fluidity within the offense. And then Dennis Jenkins comes in, gives us a little spark. And instead of subbing LeVert out for Jenkins, they sub Cade out for Jenkins. So I'd rather Cade come in for LeVert and leave Jenkins on the floor. That's just me. Easy to say after the game. But I think Jenkins should play over LeVert. If LeVert has 10 minutes, then Jenkins should have 11 plus. That's my opinion. And I look forward to you in the comments trying to prove me wrong on that one. Maybe you agree. Maybe you disagree. But Coach T says LeVert has got to go. The only thing I can say to rationalize it is maybe they're thinking that he's part of their trade value and they're trying to give him opportunities to see what he can do. But I just think JB loves him. He's got a blind spot there, in my opinion. So Ivy he ended up with 15 points, and he had 3 threes, and they were nice. They were smooth. So he had some really, really good shots tonight. He did have a costly turnover at the end. We pulled him right away. And I understand the gravity of the moment and why, we needed some defense in there. But I've seen him ride. I mean, LeVert had 3 just awful turnovers where he passed the ball right to the other team, and we kept him in the game. And I feel like Ivy makes a mistake or two, and we're pulling him. And it's not good for a player's confidence. I don't care how much a professional they are. I don't care how much work they've put in. When you have a coach that doesn't believe in you or feels like he doesn't believe in you, especially in crucial moments, it's going to mess with your head. But overall, he had a good game. I looked up Jaden Ivey's per 40 minutes. This year, he's actually averaging 19.8 points per game per 40 minutes, 5.2 rebounds. His true shooting percentage is 56%. So I know there's been times where he's just not clicking. He hasn't had a lot of big moments, but I just think more opportunity and more opportunities to mess up and to learn and to get more confidence is going to be there. Again, I hope we stay with him. I can understand why the front office would consider trading him, especially if it's for the right player. I just hope they don't. I would love to see Jaden Ivey pan out, and I say that over and over and over and over. As far as the others go, Ron Holland had 11 off the bench. Ron Holland played some really good defense down the stretch. Of course, Dennis had some really good minutes. And then, Javonte Green wasn't his best game, but great defense. He brings a presence out there. Stu didn't have much of a game tonight, but just a good presence. Had a couple of really nice protections there at the rim. And then LeVert, with what we've seen over the past couple weeks, I just wouldn't put LeVert in the game at all. I wouldn't put him in the game. I can't see how he helps us defensively. I don't see how he helps us offensively. And so I get we're paying him a decent amount of money, and we got to try to make it work. Maybe he's got something built in his contract. Who knows? But careless LeVert does not need to be in the game nearly as much as he does, as he is. So we ended up with 6 players in double digits. 4 of them were starters. Duncan was 4 for 7 from 3. He had 19 points. Tobias and JD both added 16. Tobias had some really big buckets down the stretch. We actually lost the first quarter pretty bad, but we won the last 3 quarters. But the fourth quarter was only 19-15. So both teams clamped down on defense, but also both teams were missing shots. And the Pistons were missing free throws. We missed 14 free throws this game, and we missed 8 down the stretch, meaning within the last 2 minutes, we missed 8 free throws. So in a game where you win by 5, missing 8 free throws actually we only won by 2. And so missing 5 free throws down the stretch, 8 free throws down the stretch, that's a game changer. And so, again, just a bad night. We're not going to do that often. Bad shooting, bad free throw shooting, turnovers, and you still come out with a win against a really good Phoenix team who's won 8 of their last 12 games. And so, to me, ugly, yes. Officiating, terrible. Stuff went bad. It was a long game to still pull off. The Cade was off, but to still win the game. That's a good sign for the Pistons to pull off a win like that. And that's just some nights how it's going to be. And so I think the good teams find a way to get it done even when they're off. Cade and Ron both missed 3 free throws down the stretch, which were really big. So that was 6 just from them. But then Tobias had some really big buckets at the end. I loved it when he gave Dylan Brooks the little "you're too small" sign when he's running down the court. And, You know my opinions about Tobias. I love him. I hope he stays a Piston. I still think, we should consider bringing him off the bench. But he had a good game tonight, had some big moments. That's why I don't want to get rid of him. But I think maybe he should take a little bit lesser of a role. And just because we may not start with him doesn't mean we can't finish with him. Because, again, he has big moments and he is poised down the stretch most times. So, overall, I consider it a good win, a valuable win. A win against a West Coast team is never easy. A West Coast team that's streaking right now and doing well. So, bad night, but a good win for the Pistons. So, let me know your comments about all that I just said there and what were your thoughts about that game. But I want to talk right now about amateur hour. The refs were absolutely terrible tonight. Just awful. And I want to ask, what happens? Does that game get reviewed? And is there some sort of penalty? Is there a fine? Is there a suspension? Do they get written up? Does anything happen? What is the accountability? I'd really like to know, and I wish they would make it public, because for the fans, that's tough. That was a 3-hour game. 3-hour game. I mean, my sons drive all the way from Owasso, which is where we live, which is, an hour and 45 minutes, and then getting out of Detroit with the traffic, it ends up being, if it's a 3-hour game, it ends up being an 8-hour journey, 2 hours down, and then, 3 hours of game, and then 3 hours to get back from by the time you get out of Detroit. And as a fan, it's like, man, I miss the days of the Palace. For me, the Palace was 45-minute drive right down there, easy parking, in and out. And I love Little Caesars Arena. It's a beautiful arena. I love that it's in Detroit. But for me, as a fan, to sit through a 3-hour game when there's so many plays got reviewed and looked at again, and there were 2 challenges in the first half, both by us, and both were won, which I hate the fact that we used both of our challenges in the first half, but I love the fact that JB has won his last 5 or 6 challenges, so maybe we're figuring something out there. But I like the fact that we won that last challenge when we needed some momentum. We had momentum in our favor, and getting that one turned over was a good point. So even though I hated using it, it was a good moment to have it. 5 technical fouls tonight, and I get you're dealing with 2 guys that have a history of dirty play, and Dylan Brooks leads the league in technicals. But it seemed like they were favoring them guys in the first half more than the Pistons. The whistle was definitely one way in the first half, and if you don't believe that, then you weren't watching the same game that I was. The whistle was one-sided in the first half. It got better in the second. But 5 technical fouls. There were 3 plays that were upgraded to a flagrant one. One on Asar that was, to me, he walked up, and I understand his foot was where Dylan Brooks landed, but Dylan Brooks jumped a 1.5 feet ahead. I mean, how is a player supposed to play defense? The play is called reckless closeout. So to me, reckless is when you are throwing your body forward, not trying to hold back, and landing in their landing zone. But when you are shifting over, closing out, do we not teach players from a young age to close out? You're closing out, you come up, your feet are down, your hands are up, and you're not lunging at the player, but they jump into you and land where your feet are. That is not a reckless closeout. I'm sorry. And if that's what it is, that's terrible. They need to change the rule. I understand because Kawhi Leonard got his ankle taken out by Zaza Pachulia, that something had to be done. It is a dangerous play to put your foot out there. I understand. I love that rule. But the way that some of these officials call it is just, it's weak and it's terrible, and it decreases the game. And it's not good for the fans. It's not good for the players. And I hate it. And it was a bad call. It was a terrible call. And then, 2 guys got hit in the face. And I understand now if there's any contact to the face, even if it's with a basketball play, even the one on Tobias where Grayson Allen wrapped his arm around him. So they reviewed it and got a foul. But then Tobias, as he's ripping up, as you teach a player to rip through, and he comes across with the elbow, And it wouldn't have snapped like that if his arm wasn't wrapped around him. So to me, the fact that he's pulling his arm, there's some resistance, he pulls through, and then his elbow comes up because of that natural basketball movement. And if you've played ball, you know what I'm talking about. And then they call that a flagrant one because there was contact to the face. Like, if you're a defender and you wrap a guy and you put your face in, you're going to get hit in the jaw. That's just what happens. And so how we're trying to control these things and how we're calling these things, it's just absolutely terrible. And these officials, I coach high school basketball, and it reminded me in some cases of a high school game. It was just amateur hour. These guys did not control the game. The first half alone was an hour and 40 minutes or something like that, hour and 45 minutes. And so they just had no control. And you saw what happens when officials don't control the game. And the fans are booing and everyone's emotions are heightened. And again, you got Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks. You got Isaiah Stewart, who can be a hothead. You got Ron Holland, who can be a hothead. So I get you're trying to but you're not controlling. You actually were making it worse. You were pouring gasoline on the fire. So I want to hear some comments in the chat. Let me know, what do you think about these refs? It was just bad. What would you like to see? And I'm complaining about this after a win. And I'm saying that it's a human art. I've done some officiating. I hate it, by the way. It's a human art, which means there will be bad calls. There will be missed calls. But when you have a game like that, this is professional basketball. This is the highest level of basketball in the world. These guys are paid very handsomely to understand the game, to understand the rules, to control the game. And when they do such a poor job of it as a team, what happens? I really want to know. Maybe some of you know something in the comments. Is there some sort of an accountability system? It would be great for the fans. And listen, no fans, no brand, right? So if there's no fans, the NBA doesn't exist. So you've got to somewhat make it enjoyable for the fans. And maybe some sort of a public forum or some sort of a public page where you can go and see, these refs were written up or these refs paid a fine or whatever. Just like to the players, a coach doesn't perform well, he gets fired. A player doesn't perform well, he gets traded or benched. What happens when these officials don't perform well? And you see some of these guys over and over and over and over, and you just wonder, what in the world? So that's my rant. The reffing was amateur hour at best tonight. It was a bad crew. The game wasn't under control. They weren't leading, and they drew way too much attention to themselves. So sound off in the comments what your thoughts are about the officiating tonight. Obviously, I'm recording this right after the game because I was fired up. So let's move on because I'm heated up here about the refs. Malik Beasley. A lot of you have been asking in the comments, do you have any updates on Malik Beasley? And I want you to know I'm looking up Malik Beasley stuff every day. I follow him on all of his social media. He does like to troll a little bit to get us all, feeling like something's happening. But obviously, the NBA's internal investigation is ongoing. They have said that they have cleared him, but there's still some investigation happening. But I'm reading that it's nearing its completion. That's tied to the suspicious betting on his player prop stats, notably his rebounds on January 31st of the 2024 game. It was flagged by a sports book. He hasn't been charged federally, and he is cooperating with the NBA. It stalled his free agent market. Obviously, a potential $42 million deal with the Pistons got stalled. So, potentially a really damaging thing to him if he comes out innocent. But obviously, there's some broader NBA concerns about gambling and the whole controversy and all the things. But to me, if the gambling is such a big issue, which I believe that it probably is, and that's another thing that gives me so much pause or agita about the officiating, because you just wonder, how much of this is them just trying to cover the over or, cover the odds, the spread. And I don't gamble. I'll just tell you right now, I don't gamble. I am a devout Christian, and I don't gamble. I just don't. It's not my thing. I don't think it's right. But then if it's such a big deal, why? even during the broadcast, we were putting up so many gambling stats, and I get it's a huge thing, it's a big money maker, and a lot of you might do it, and I'm not judging anyone that does it. If that's what you do, it's all good, man. I'm just it's not for me. But I think there's so much emphasis on it that how are they going to police it? And obviously if Malik Beasley gambled against his own team or anything like that, then throw the book at him. I would hate that. But it doesn't look like that's it right now. The status federally is his attorneys confirmed that he's no longer a target of the federal gambling probe. He has not been charged with anything, but he remains a subject of ongoing scrutiny. The NBA inquiry says the NBA's own investigation runs independently of the federal case, and it's still active according to the NBA. Obviously, his impact of his thing. The Pistons have kept a roster spot open for him. They did during the 2025 offseason, and obviously if he becomes available, they can cut someone and sign him. And so, as of right now, no charges. Beasley hasn't been charged for anything, but they're watching and they're doing. Apparently, there's some more investigation that's happening, and I'm hearing from different reports that it's getting close to the end, and we're going to hear something soon. Will we see Malik Beasley in a Pistons uniform this year? Man, I hope something happens before the trade deadline, because if we get Beasley back before the trade deadline, I don't think we need to make any moves. I think he solves a shooting issue that we have. I think everything else could work itself out, and I then have to be at a place where I'd say, let's ride it out. Let's bench LeVert or just release him, maybe release him and sign Malik, and let's ride this thing out and see what happens. So that's the Beasley watch update. Let me know if you've heard anything. Any of you watching that have heard other things about Malik, please let us all know in the comments. We're all anxiously awaiting to see what's going to happen there. We'd love to see Malik back in a Pistons uniform soon. And then last but not least, this is a new one that's come across my feed a bunch of times in the last couple of days, and that is this proposal by NBA Reset of Derek White to the Pistons. And so here's what the trade looks like. Derek White and a 26 Boston second or third round pick for a 26 Pistons first round pick, a 28 Pistons first round pick, Tobias Harris and Karis LeVert. And I think a trade that included Tobias and Karis, obviously if they want Karis, they can have him in my opinion, but we need to get something for him. We're paying him a lot of money, so I don't want to just give him away. But I think a trade that involves him, I'm fine with. Even Tobias, for the right person, I would trade. I don't think Derek White is the right person. Obviously, Derek White is a great player, a great defender, has torched the Pistons more times than a lot of guys. He's a great defender, hustle player. I think he would fit here. So I have no opposition to Derek White, other than I don't know that I like this trade package. And I don't know. You never know what the chemistry is going to be like. And positionally, I don't know that he solves the problems that we have. He can hit the three at times, as we've seen. And then, honestly, I know we say we don't want to give up picks, but let me put something out there that, in my opinion, we have drafted really well the last 5 to 7 years. We've drafted really, really well. And so I don't know that, and we have a lot of good players sitting on the bench, young guys, and we have some good players playing for the Drive that are solid NBA prospects. And so I think we have a good player development program. We have some young guys. I don't know that picks for the next 2 to 3 years are crazy important for us, because we're probably going to get low picks anyways. We're not going to be a lottery team, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, providing we don't have injuries. And of course, I understand one of the reasons you want to hold on to your picks is in case someone gets hurt. I get that. But I think if there was ever a time where picks are a little more expendable, it would be right now. So if we do trade, I don't mind giving up a few picks that don't go much past 28, maybe 29, because, again, I don't think our drafts are going to be that high. So that's something to consider. But, I mean, we're hearing, obviously we've heard Anthony Davis. I don't know if you saw, he's going to be out for a couple of months, so now the Mavs are really trying to trade him. That guy's constantly hurt. This is why we don't want him in Detroit. He's just never well. We've heard MPJ, we've heard Trey Murphy III, we've heard Jaren Jackson Jr., Benedict Mathurin, even John Morant. Kawhi Leonard. I mean, we've heard all of these names. We're going to continue to hear these names. So far, I haven't heard the one that really, makes me super excited. I like Trey Murphy III. I think of all of them, I think he would be the best fit. A lot of you came at me in the comments about Jaren Jackson Jr., that if I don't, one guy said, if you don't think Jaren Jackson Jr. would be the right fit for Detroit, that you don't belong, you shouldn't have a podcast. Well, I do. So I told the guy, hey, you should start a podcast. Like, if that's the thing, those of you that come hard in the comments, I love it. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't bother me. Bring it. I will defend my point of view. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to come on here and say, hey, I was wrong about that, or that was the wrong take, or maybe you changed my opinion. Some of you have made me think a different way and changed my opinion. And so I like it when people come at me with facts. But hey, don't be a keyboard warrior. Like, if you feel like you know ball and you got a lot to say, then have your own podcast. Start a podcast. It's not that difficult. Sit in front of your camera and start talking and see what people have to say. What you're going to learn is when you have opinions, there's going to be people that agree and there's going to be people that don't. And I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. The thing that I love most about doing this is I get to meet virtually a lot of you other fans, and I get to hear a lot of different perspectives, and it does open my eyes. And so please keep, sounding off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But if you're so adamant about something and you think you can do a better job, hey, the internet is a big place. A YouTube channel is free. There's all kinds of tools out there. I mean, I'm not using any equipment right now other than a laptop. So start a podcast, man. I'd love to see it. I'll be your first subscriber. Let me know and share your stuff. So anyways, that's all I got tonight, guys. Tough win for the Pistons, but the Pistons won again, so we always celebrate about that. Absolute amateur hour with the refs. Let's sound off in the comments about NBA officials and what should be happening when they just fumble the bag, right? When they just botch the thing. Something needs to happen. And then let us know if you have any updates on Beasley. Let me know what you think about this trade. I don't know if it's real. It's just a rumor, but a proposal. But let me know what your thoughts. Does Derek White fit well in Detroit? I'd love to hear your opinion. So have a good night, everybody. You'll be seeing this tomorrow at 11. So as you're watching it, it's probably Friday. Pistons play again Saturday night against Indiana. I will be in attendance, and hopefully we stay on the winning streak there. We'll talk all about it on Monday, but you all have a good weekend. And as always, Detroit basketball. Let's go, baby.